year ago, Sky introduced Sky Glass, the smarter TV with Sky inside, the game-changing device, now the innovation hub of the entire Sky Group, met with rave reviews. A paradigm shift in the premium TV industry, said one prominent tech site. The iPhone moment for TV, declared another. Much has since been said and written about the TV that only Sky could make. What hasn't been shared until now is the story behind the glass, an innovation story involving big bets, bold ambitions, and a compelling vision that united thousands of people working at Sky and Comcast sites across the world. I hope to be introducing you to some of them shortly. Welcome then to the exclusive inside story of Sky Glass, as we prepare to meet those who conjured the magic, starting with Fraser Sterling, Global Chief Product Officer at Sky and Comcast. Please welcome Fraser to the stage.
Please take a seat.
You brought your own fan club today.
Yeah. I had to give everybody 20 quid for that. Yeah.
Take a seat. Now, it was nearly a year ago,
Yes,
wasn't it, that we did the big thing at O2.
I can't believe it.
Yeah, that was in October, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And we introduced Sky Glass, the smarter TV.
Oh, Jesus.
We call it. Let's
No,
look at you back then.
No need for that.
You haven't changed a bit.
I know, tell me about it. Still wear the same size shirt, unfortunately.
You looked pretty confident there.
Oh, yeah?
Were you confident? I mean, this is an amazing project, isn't it? So much involved, so much time, so many people. There's a big backstory. Were you confident when you stood on that stage?
And I mean, confident in the work of the team. I think we did a load of practice beforehand. I mean, the thing about that moment is it's my job to represent everybody's work, which is a huge that's a responsibility I take very, it's a heavy responsibility that I take, because I mean, at the end of the day, it's the team that's done it, and it's a team that's actually spanned the globe. And it's not just the product team, at the end of, people talk about the product and the product team and stuff, but it's when you do something like this type of product, the bit that you see is just the tip of the iceberg. And so that you've got to think about every single person, and you meet teams, before launch that we're doing stuff, and the care that they have about the thing that we're building is just as much as the product team is. So it's a big responsibility. But I was confident because I believe in the product a lot. So I was confident in that, but I was obviously feeling the pressure to make sure I don't, make everybody's work seem not as good as it is.
It didn't show. Did you expect the glowing reviews? I mean, I read out a couple of the quotes.
Well, again, you're sort of talking to the wrong guy a wee bit. I'm a Scottish, so I'm sometimes a bit glass half empty. You know what I mean? So again, it's a funny, when you work in our job, I think everybody shares this. You kind of look at the stuff that you make, and all you see is how you can improve it. You know what I mean? So I think we looked at it and said it's great and stuff, but here's all the things we want to make better. So I think we're really confident, and it's a really unique product. It doesn't really exist in the market still. But definitely when we look at it, we think of all the things that can be better. But doing events like that and seeing the reviews, or when you show it to your friends and family for the first time, it's good because you're reminded that actually it is awesome. And then you can sort of get rid of that and try and make it better again. Yeah.
What is so revolutionary about Sky Glass, would you say?
Well, I think there's. It sounds like a weird thing to talk about at a sort of tech summit, and I think Stephen will do it better justice later. But we could talk for 90 minutes, 2 hours, half a day about the innovation in the platform, and we can do that, and how amazing the hardware is, and all the work we put into that, and the experience, and all that good stuff. But I think the thing that makes it so different and unique is really the proposition as much as it is anything else, and the promise to customers. Yeah. So it's really about holding a mirror up to people and saying, that the way you watch telly isn't good, right? That over the last number of years you've had to Google for content, and that you've had to go into each app individually. You have to find out what's going on. You get different recommendations from those different. That's not normal. Right, that's the idea of the product. The idea of the product is TV can be better, and the proposition itself is all about making it simple for people. Again, it's about the best possible experience for the most possible people. It's not designed for probably a large amount of people in this room who are tech focused and they use a lot of the products that they buy in the shop and stuff as a sort of mental challenge. Most people, believe it or not, use products to relax and entertain themselves. So I think like that for me is the thing that makes a difference. And Dana spoke earlier on about how innovation is actually about focus, and I think that this product says that more than anyone I've ever been involved with, that's for sure, which is a solid and singular focus on making in the belief that the TV experience, the entertainment experience in the home can be better.
Now you've worked on many projects. In terms of complexity, how does Sky Glass compare?
It's up there.
I would think so.
And I think there was the complexity, I think, in the product itself and getting it done, you know, and then obviously, like, you know, you could, again, there's the countries that haven't been involved. We had people from all over the place. It's like the best of Comcast, the best of Sky together, this product. So much so, by the way, that, you know, this whole idea that we're actually going to take Sky Glass and the entertainment OS, the operating system that really does that's going to go back to the States. So we're going to be in hundreds of millions of homes with the thing that we've built. So it's definitely complex, but often is the case to provide something super simple to customers, it has to be complicated. I think that's a good motto of our team, is like, we want to take on the complexity so that customers don't have to. I think you can make it easier on yourself, but that often makes it more difficult for customers.
So you've taken on the burden to make it easy on everybody else.
People like simple stuff, spending more time entertaining themselves than sorting through things, right?
Okay, Fraser, thank you very much
cheers.
for the moment. You're
Cheers.
relieved.
Thanks.
I feel like I've just, you're in the doctor's surgery and we've just gone there. Well, Fraser will be joining us again shortly as we discuss the big, bold decisions behind Sky Glass and learn what's next for this revolutionary product. Thank you very much for the moment. We want to welcome to the stage now, we spoke about some of the people involved in the project, Sky Glass. Jack Whitebury. Jack, where are you? Emma Jones. Artie Palmer and Halima Dutton. Welcome all. These are the people that make the magic happen. We did have a wizard over there, but they took him off the stage. So, Jack, we're going to start with you. You're a design engineer, and much of your career you've spent solving the challenge of delivering live TV channels to viewers.
Yeah.
Got that right. So what was the challenge that fell in your lap, the huge challenge that fell in your lap when you joined?
So yeah, it was a big challenge. It was my first project at Sky, so I had to kind of get up to speed quickly with what we had today at that time, which was like the Sky Q platform. And then the main objective, I guess, for the Sky Glass was to replicate that channel lineup and that functionality, but to the new product. So rather than delivering the channels over satellite as the Q platform, deliver over the internet on the new product. Although we didn't know what the product was at that time, we just knew it was over.
So just how big a challenge was it? I mean, what were the issues, the particular issues that you faced?
So yeah, it was an enormous challenge. So there's like over 200 channels that we had to migrate to the new platform. So on the Sky side, our channels were already IP internally. So using like our multicast network, we could deliver those to the Glass platform. So that was kind of the easier part of it, the Sky stuff. But we still needed additional processing on all those channels and different features for Glass specific. So I had to implement all that, think about like the network scaling issues with that, and adding new channels, more monitoring on the network, what was the right solution to monitor the services, how we were going to do it, how the teams were going to take on that workload to what they already had, all things like that, really. Yeah.
Sounds like an awful lot of work. Did you ever feel that actually we've taken on more than we can handle here?
Yeah, there were some times where it was difficult. So especially with onboarding all our third-party channels, so a lot of those were at a different place to us, so they didn't necessarily have the IP feeds ready. So we had to work with them to deliver those channels and then make sure that the kind of specification that they gave matched what we wanted for the platform, and we could have like a seamless experience for the viewer. So yeah, across all the channels the viewer gets the same.
But you did it. You did it.
Yeah.
You did it. Emma, you're a lead user experience designer in TV products at Sky. And the day after Sky Glass launched, you wrote on LinkedIn that you were very excited to finally be able to talk about an incredible product that has taken 2 years of hard work during a pandemic. Tell us about the hard work, and obviously, you know, exacerbated by the time frame. The pandemic was ongoing.
Yeah, it it was a lot of hard work, I think, for us. It started really looking at how we build a system that is focused around voice and aggregation at the forefront. We had quite a bit of a head start with Q at the time, looking at some of the data that was coming out from that product, how our customers used that product, how they delved into the content. And that allowed us to kind of like look at it and think about how we balance the Sky content that we promote versus the app content and find that balance. So we started to look at how we want to categorize that content, how do we make it easy for customers to dive into a program that they love watching regardless of the provider. You know, it's a quick and easy switch on. And what that did was it kind of shifted and changed fundamentally the navigation paradigm that we have today in Glass. We moved from left-hand navigation in Q to an access point anywhere within the home screen. So you can get straight into apps, you can get straight into categories, you can watch your favourite movies. And that also really helped us kind of look at design patterns that are across other streaming products and just bring that into what we were building that then becomes familiar to customers when they turn on the TV and just easy for them to use. Other challenges were also around the way that we tested and validated our assumptions. You know, we kind of moved very rapidly into isolation and working in silo and working away from home. And we had gone from testing face-to-face with customers to figuring out how do we validate this before we kind of put it out. And a great example of that is with our setup and activation journey. So, you know, how do we kind of get people through that journey and how do we understand if that's it's in the right sequence, in the right order? We had to take away all of the branding. We had to take away anything that gave an idea that it was a product coming out from Sky because it was also secret. We had to really think about the questions we were asking because we really couldn't give anything away as to what we were doing, all as a team. And then I think lastly, as you mentioned, the pandemic, I think as a team, we had to rapidly look at how we were working together, switch up and change some of the software that we were designing our products on so that we could collaborate much quicker. And also look at the online kind of software that helped us create workshop environments, brainstorming, design sprints. And all of that was really essential at ensuring that we continued what we were doing at pace.
No, I remember you referenced the secrecy. It was a really top secret, wasn't it?
It was, yeah.
Even working at Sky, we had no clue what was going on.
So many members.
The reveal days.
Yeah, I mean, so many members of the team, when they had people that would come into their home, you know, past lockdown, would throw like a blanket over the TV just to hide it. We really couldn't kind of let anyone know what was there. So, yeah.
Yeah, well kept secret, well worth waiting for. Artie, you're the head of product for voice control and search at Sky. Your most recent achievement was leading on Comcast's first hands-free voice product with Hello Sky on Sky Glass. So that involved the development of something called Far Field Voice. Can you tell us a little bit more about that, what exactly it is and how you came to arrive at that?
Yeah, sure. So Far-Field Voice is essentially, or also known as hands-free voice. It's where we've built microphones into the Sky Glass television, which means customers can talk to their TV, basically. And it's as easy as them saying, "Hello, Sky," to trigger Far-Field Voice, and then they can say a voice search or a voice command to control their TV. So that was completely new for us. It's a brand new challenge. It was very exciting to work on. And I think one of the best things that we've all experienced is the number of experts we all got to work with across Sky and Comcast. So many people came together from design teams, engineering, development, project management, delivery, just to make this happen because we encountered new problems, new things we needed to solve, but we did that all as one team.
And that's the important thing, the team. No
Definitely.
I in team. Halima, on to you last but not least. You're head of software delivery at Sky, with more than 2 decades experience in program and software delivery management. And Sky has been constantly updating the software for Sky Glass. I mean, it's constantly evolving, and that's such a difficult thing to do.
Yeah, so prior to working on Sky Glass, I was part of the Sky Q delivery team, and we were working on the post-launch releases of Sky Q. And in that world, we were used to delivering 3 to 4 large releases a year. So once we'd recovered from the shock of we're going to be doing a TV, we quickly started to think about how we wanted those software updates to look for glass. Around that time, we became part of the Comcast family as well, which opened a door to a whole new world of technologies that were then available to us. And I remember the two things in particular that really stood out for me at the time. One is a tool called telemetry. So telemetry we use to monitor key performance indicators of how well a release is doing when we deploy it into a population. Now historically on Q we'd have to wait 24 hours to really see that data coming through. Now we're getting that information 30 minutes later, so that was a real game changer. The other thing that really impressed me was the speed at which we could deploy software and roll it back as well. So those two things, when we factored them in, we thought, right, we can go faster here. We can actually produce releases at a more regular, speedier cadence. So with that in mind, we thought, well, there's certain aspects that historically we've done serially. We can now parallel those up. So we set ourselves a challenge of producing a release a month. And so far, so good. We have produced one a month, and we are currently working on Glass Release 11. So that is amazing. I think one of our biggest challenges is working out what we're going to put in these releases, because we're sitting on so many features and so many things that we want to give to our customers. So picking what actually is going to go into the next release is quite a challenge, but it's quite a nice, beautiful place to be.
I mean, it's something I've experienced at Sky. There's a frenetic pace of work, isn't there?
Yes.
There really is.
Yes, it is absolutely amazing, and we're very fortunate to have a very strong team. We all work together very well, and as Emma touched on, especially during a very difficult time with the pandemic, it was an amazing journey to be part of.
Yeah, I mean, Sky Glass has been phenomenal, and I imagine has changed the way that you work. Would you say, Emma, how's it changed your role and how you go about achieving results?
Yeah, so I think going back to Halima mentioning around the releases, for us as a team, going to that monthly release has just transformed the way that we work. It's picking up the pace. It's looking at what features we want to release and how we want to release them. But what that means is that we can get the data back much quicker, so we can start to delve into that and see what's working and actually see if the testing that we did holds up with a much bigger user base. That means that we have to kind of come together as a team, really kind of look at what we want to be focusing on. It doesn't stop us from pushing things. It doesn't stop us from being ambitious. But it does mean that we can really think about how we want to iteratively improve our features and really kind of get things out in front of the customers quicker.
And Jack, what would you say you've learnt on your Sky Glass journey?
Yeah, I think it's definitely the collaboration piece is probably the main thing. So when we were thinking about the designs for the UK launch, we didn't just have that in mind, but future launches for different territories as well. So making sure what the solution we had could be rolled out across each region, and we have like a template, so we're not starting the design from scratch each time. Everyone working together on the same goal, which was really good. Yeah.
Artie, let's bring you back in. Overall, what would you say was the biggest challenge, and what was your learning curve? What did you take out of the Sky Glass experience?
Sure. Yes, I think as I touched on earlier, far-field voice is a brand new, technology that Sky has worked on, and definitely a new project for me that I've ever worked on. And it's been really exciting. But we had all these challenges around, the customer will be standing away from the TV and talking to the TV. There might be other noise in the room that we need to filter out. How do we best optimize this so it works properly for everybody? And I think what I've enjoyed the most and learned is that you may not have the answer, but when everyone comes together and you try to crack a problem, you do usually find the solution and you make it work. And I think that's been the great thing and it doesn't matter where we were located, everybody really wanted to make this work and as best as it could. And I think that's been the best part of this.
And I think you've all touched on it, but Halima, would you say collaboration is the key?
Absolutely, and I think, as we've touched on with the pandemic, now being part of a global team as well, I mean, we were always quite global before, but even more so now, has really helped our ability to go faster and develop new friendships with our colleagues in the US, India, Italy, Germany, and so on. It's been an amazing journey.
Well, thank you very much for speaking to us this afternoon. Audience, please thank Jack, Emma, Artie and Halima. Thank you. Thank you, guys. amazing individuals. A lot of brain power is just exiting the stage there. Let's now turn to the big decisions behind Sky Glass to understand how Sky Glass went from a drawing board concept to sleek product in customers' homes and learn about the journey that Sky is now on. Please welcome back for, I think it's your third time now, isn't it? Fraser Sterling and Stephen Van Ruin. Hi, welcome back. So Fraser and Stephen back again on stage. The Sky Glass story revolves around 5 big decisions, starting with this one. We're hoping to bring up a slide of that. First decision, we're going to launch our own TV, as you do. Why not? What was the thinking here, Stephen?
Bold, I think, in a word. Look, so it was specifically, it was the 18th of June 2018. We know that because we wrote a note in an iPad that sort of dated it. So we had a meeting, and we talked about what we're going to do next. And when we talked about what we're going to do next, we wanted to do something that was ambitious, that was bold, and that was going to embrace the change that we knew was coming in our marketplace. And the change was, I guess, manifest by TV becoming hard to watch, as content is fragmented into all these different apps. We've made it really hard for people to watch TV, catalyzed by this incredible adoption of broadband. And as an organization, we were grappling with the idea as to what happens next. How do we develop a product that takes advantage of those changes and solves the problems for our customers? And that was like the main thought, which is customers have problems, we have to change, the market's changing, what are we going to do about it? And we started, like all these discussions you'd expect, with talking about creating an IP box. You know, there's a streaming box and all that sort of good stuff. We actually thought we need to be more bold than that. We need to explore whether or not we can be better, because our view is in the very long term, a decade from now maybe, the whole idea of having a box would probably be redundant, you know, because you'll have an app and you'll have broadband and you'll have a TV. So if you're going to do it, just jump to the end and go through the pain of doing it. So, you know, that was a thought in a room. He rolled his eyes, and we spent the next 6 months, June to December, trying to work out whether we were being bold and smart and ambitious, or whether we're being just mad. And sometimes there's a fine line between those things. And we went away and just did a bunch of research as to whether we could launch our own TV. Like, can you actually build a TV? And we did the work in the 6 months, and we got to the point where we convinced ourselves at Christmas 2018 that it was a doable thing, that the sort of the structure of how you manufacture any of these things or build software has just changed fundamentally. And with a brand like ours and with a position like ours, you could convincingly create a case to go and do it. And so at the end of 2018, beginning of 2019, we sort of wrote the business case, and you know, all these very talented people across the planet produced this incredible product.
Well, I think you can be both. I think you can be bold and crazy.
Yeah.
Do you agree?
Often they go together, yeah. They go together.
So once you'd made the decision, what were the immediate challenges, Fraser?
Oh, it was pretty easy, really. We just kind of went to sleep, and then when we woke up, there was like a TV at the end of the bed. So no, I think it's like just like the ad. Yeah. Well, I think the awesome people up here before, and I'm sure the word has been said a lot, is like collaboration, and I think it's important to define what that means. So I think like sometimes collaboration is like, oh, you know, we had a good chat and everybody had, you know, I mean, actually, I think collaboration at Sky, and I think also has always been the case at Comcast and the best companies, collaboration is like getting after it together. Like, you know, you have an idea and you have to challenge it, you have to run it down, you have to be ready for your idea to be challenged and all that good stuff. And throughout the process, all of the things that went in there, all the ideas and everything have to be argued in. It's not just a case we're going to have all the features and then you argue it out. So you've got to sit down, you've got to understand, what does a TV look like? Why would something of this type be that we would make be different from the other things in the market? And like I said before, huge kudos to the sort of the marketing team and the commercial team, just for giving us the ability to focus on the things that were important, the simplicity of it. And then that allowed us to sort of crack on. And then you do a bottoms up, you say, what have we got that we could reuse? And then more importantly, what do we do today that we want to stop doing? Yeah, so that it gives you a good opportunity to double down on the things that you've got that you want to continue. But really importantly, what do you want to stop? What are the things you never wanted to do in the first place you can stop doing, and how can this product be the catalyst to make that happen?
So the next bold decision, we're going to make it a streaming TV.
Yeah.
Why streaming?
I touched on sort of the opening point as we thought about it. I mean, the first reason was we took a view that over the coming decade and decades in this country, across Europe, we're going to see the rollout of high-speed fibre to people's homes. So the delivery of content will increasingly be made available and capable over high-speed networks. And you know, the debate about what IP can give you is entirely different from what a satellite can give you. And we took a view that, as with any trend, if you lean into it and you ride on the back of it, it'll carry you. So we took a view, first and foremost, that if this is an emerging technology through Europe, how do we get on the back of it? And so that was the first sort of major point that we had to decide. The second was really about us addressing a market need that we have in the UK and in the other territories we operate in, which is the satellite dish, as good as it's been, and a faithful servant for 35 years, has its limitations. You know, there is particular areas of the country we can't get to. In high density areas, you can't get a dish on the roof, and so we've limited the market we can address, and we wanted to create a product that did that. The third was, you know, as I said earlier, could you make a box or could you make a TV? And you know, of course, we've done both because we have the SkyStream puck that goes alongside it. But we thought if we're going to do something, we want to do something bold and decisive and also worthy of the history of the brand, which is doing something that gets attention, something that, you know, makes a statement about what we as a company believe and where we think the industry is going. And so this, you know, I've said to many people over the last couple of years as we built it, I mean, this TV is as much designed to be revolutionary today as it's meant to solve the problems of the next decade. Because when we get to a point where there is no longer a box, and as amazing as SkyQ is, and it's an incredible product, the need for it will dissipate over time. So if the TV is the answer long term, if the glass is the answer long term, and hence the brand, if the glass is the answer long term, let's start by doing it now, and let's start by making it incredible. It's, you know, our version 1, I would argue, is better than most, if not all, TVs out there. I don't think there's anything quite like it, and that's our V1, and that gets us going.
Fraser, what are the advantages of going all IP? I mean, obviously, it's not an easy thing to do, but
no, I think so. There's at the end of the day, Hal is the person, by the way, like that talks about this the best, but there's a misconception, I think, that it's all about, you know, writing code. Writing code is an incredibly important thing. Like, that is, after all, sort of the DNA of all the products we have. But the reality is, like, code and writing code, no matter how good it is, if you can't get it out the door, as in if you can't ship it to customers and you can't get it back if it's not working, if you don't have that part of the factory line working, it's all for nothing, right? And one of the benefits of going to IP from an architectural perspective is that. Because going and putting code on 10 million boxes is fine, it's doable, and we've done it with SkyQ and Sky Plus before it amazingly well, like best in the business. But by removing the need for that logistical challenge of downloading the same thing 10 million times and flipping the model and doing it once and then giving that to 10 million people, that's what going to all IP allows you to have. And it's not as much necessarily about the transport of the video, like Stephen says, like getting video on satellite or over the internet is the same with customers. It's actually saying this device will always be connected. That lifeline and that ability allows us to do actually not just one release of software per week to the device. It allows us to do hundreds of releases a day in the cloud. Yeah, so that sort of architectural shift allows us as a team to have more flexibility of how we get the code and the features deployed to customers, because after all, that's all that matters. Yeah, there's no point in having features if nobody's going to use them, and actually allows us to have a lot more flexibility with the business teams, so we can align our products with how we talk about them to customers. Again, like the worst feature that we develop as a product team is the one that no one's heard about. So we make sure that we have that flexibility allows us and to team up with go-to-market and marketing team and with Stephen's leadership to make sure that we're aligning the features going out with the messaging so that everybody can see it and learn about it and be excited about it, as excited as we are. Yeah.
Stephen, you've set the bar so high. What do you think allows you to be that bold?
I think there's a number of things. I think as an organization, we've had a track record of sort of breaking molds and trying new things and doing them well, and putting ourselves in a position to back them. And I think the brand has permission to do that. The brand has the scale and capability because of the footprint that we have and the position that we have and the resources that we have to try it. So I think the brand and the heritage of what the brand has done, I think, has put us in a position where we can try these things. And then, as I said in sort of the keynote earlier, this organization, I think, flourishes and has flourished because it continues to try new things and take risks. A load of them pay off, more pay off than fail, but you have to take risks. And each one of those risks is designed to really focus on what we think the customer is going to need at some point in the future. I mean, take Sky Plus, not necessarily invented by us, but we built it our way and we grew it. And it was introduced in 2001, but it didn't really scale until 2006. Now TV we launched in 10 years ago. We launched our streaming service in 2012. And so I think we think we're kind of slightly ahead of the curve because we're focused on the industry, its participants, the moving dynamics of it, and also mostly on the customers. And really at the heart of it, it was this deep frustration that we have that, Fraser's right, trying to watch TV is too hard. I mean, if you buy a smart TV, it's hard. You've got to go into all these apps and nobody makes a concerted recommendation to you and all your profiles are different and it's kind of just hard. And we can do better than that. If you're sitting around trying to Google what you should watch because you don't know where Peaky Blinders is, the famous Peaky Blinders example, we failed. As an industry, we failed to serve a customer if that's where we're getting to. And our answer to that is, Sky solves problems, customer problems, and that is a problem and we want to fix it.
We've already got the slide up. We're going to design and build it ourselves. I mean, Sky has a hardware design and engineering arm to build the boxes, not the TVs. So it's an incredible leap, isn't it?
Well, it depends how you look at it. I think it's interesting if you sort of break down what it is, Sky Glass, and think about the idea of we build it ourselves. I think really the reason why we can do something like this is because some parts of the supply chain or some parts of the value chain have become more available than they used to be. It used to be there was you can have anybody you want to make your screen as long as it's sharp, right? And then obviously LG and Sammy are coming in to all the different sizes and stuff. But as the demand for smartphones back in the day increased, the supply chain was required for those. And if they're not making smaller screens, then how are they going to keep their factories running? Well, maybe we'll make bigger screens. So that was always the thing as part of the product that was most difficult to get, but that's become more available. And then really what we've always done a fantastic job of is not just our supply chain getting the right things to the right places at the right time to make them, but from a mechanical perspective, and we have an amazing industrial design team here, that's always been part of what we've done for a long time. And inside that, what that is an IP box, and I'll tell you categorically, there's no one that's better to build than those type of entertainment devices than us. So actually, if you lay it out that way, it's not as big a leap, certainly not for us. Maybe this is the sort of, the divide between madness, ambition, or whatever we talked about before, but it felt super attainable, difficult, but not unrealistic. And then I think when you think about building it ourselves, I think for me, the thing that I'm most proud of throughout this process, we're always really selective. I think that as a community of technologists, if we get ever been, sort of made guilty for anything, it's not built here syndrome. If I didn't do it, I don't want it, right? And that was always a thing. But every decision we've looked at in here is do we need to do that ourselves? Because we only have a finite amount of resource. So if there's 100 people working on it, wouldn't you rather those 100 people were working on the things that make this different? Yeah. So if that's the case, then you don't need to go and do that other stuff. And so that fundamental understanding that we don't have sort of exclusive license in creativity and we don't have exclusive license in all technology, I think it allowed us to go actually above and beyond and focus on things like the sound, things like the design, things like how the experience works, how it doesn't work like other places, and things like all the cloud services that we brought across from our years of experience sort of in the States. So I think like us designing and building this ourselves, like in that context, I think supernatural. And like Stephen's saying, this is just the starting line, right? This is a journey. We're not done. So that's the other exciting part, I think.
And it's not just about the quality of the product, it's also about how people obtain it. The key decision was offering Sky Glass to customers as a subscription product. Take us through that decision, because that strikes me as being quite bold.
Yeah, so look, I think as we thought about the TV and how people buy TVs and own TVs, what we wanted to do is we wanted to sort of innovate at every point that we could and think differently about every point we could. And one of the things that struck us is if you looked at the data of how many people have a subscription product at home, us or Netflix or Disney or whoever, and you look at the trend line of where at least that was going, not so long ago, and you think of the idea of how people buy an iPhone and their airtime, and the sort of idea we struck on was, well, if you think of Sky Glass as an iPhone and you think of airtime as your content, as your subscription, why is nobody packaging it in a way to do it that way? It was also a shorthand way just to make it more affordable, and it was also a way to recognize that every number of years people replace their TVs. Roughly in the UK, it's sort of every 4.5 years. And if we got into a cycle like you do with an iPhone, where you can roll these things, because in 4 years from now, I guarantee you glass will be a different product from what it is today. How do you just take what's become normalized in buying an iPhone with an airtime subscription into buying a content device with content subscription? And again, the idea was bold, and we tested it, and we thought we didn't know whether people would like it. And today, 93% of people who buy a TV from us buy it on this spread payment, which is much more than it ever researched, because kind of why wouldn't you? It's cheaper, it's interest-free, you can trade it in the end, get a new one, you own it if you want to keep it and don't want to trade it in. It just makes it more affordable and different. Again, if you want to just keep talking about differences, colors are different, the way you buy it's different, the way you interface with it's different, no aerial necessary is different. It just kept aggregating up to, it's not like anything you've experienced before.
And Fraser, what back office changes does that require regarding you?
Well, I said before, like when we had those meetings and you realised there was all these teams and they were like smashing it as much as you thought, certain other teams were. Well, I think this is the best example. And for those that don't know, these are from our digital flow, right? So, and they are this simple. So you go on, you select your size, you select your colour, select your pack, yeah. You want the delivery, you can get a speaker cover to match the colour if you want. All that is really simple and straightforward, right? So obviously that means, and again, this is all the sales and service team that we have here. The way that you make that simple is by just an immense amount of work and focus on those back-end services, especially, letting customers choose and select and buy, So the amount of the just as amount of work went on, if not more in some cases, for how we can actually get customers to buy this and select what they want, as much as it did in the experience. And that's what I was saying before. I think the product often is the gravity, because you can touch it and feel it a bit. Yeah, it comes with pros and cons, lots of feedback, for example. But even more so, I think, on these sales journeys, it is a platform and a continuum, because customers need to discover it, get excited about it. They need to be able to buy it, select it, use it. If it's not working properly, then they need to be able to sort it out themselves, and we sort it for them. All that stuff has to be working together, otherwise it just doesn't make sense, and you lose the trust of the most important person, which is the customer.
And giving the customer that choice, does that make your job more difficult, would you say? Or ultimately, in the long run, is it actually making the customer more loyal?
I think that it's about providing the right choice. I think there's I'll give you an example, right? So just off the cuff, but there's the latest M5 from BMW. So there's a bunch of engineers went in the room and they got pumped. They were like, we are going to make the best car ever. Right, let's go, whiteboard. And they wrote down 20, 30 features, right, that they wanted to put in this new BMW. And they're all selectable per key, yeah? So you can drive it and you can have the drive exactly for you. People get in it and they're just, I just want to drive the car. And they've got to sit there, they're selecting all the different features and all that stuff. So that's the wrong choice. That's turning entertainment into actually utility, you know what I mean? So I think providing the choice, the right choice to the customers, the ones that matter to them, is important. We don't want to give them a choice of what app do you want to go into based on the time of day, but we do want them to choose the colour that fits best for their home and their environment, and it feels like, you know, they're personalising that just like the rest of the experience.
Now, the fifth decision brings us to the journey that Sky is now on with Sky Glass, as it seeks to make it the connected entertainment and communications hub of the home, with a smart camera attached to a smart TV. A question to you both. What are the opportunities that Sky sees here? Stephen.
Firstly, enhancing the customer experience. I mean, with the camera attached and the ability to, you know, through the press of a button, invite your friends to watch England, South Africa playing in the test tomorrow because your dad lives in Leeds and you live here, whatever the case may be. I think that's a great enhancement to, you know, watching TV. I think a gaming platform where you get people up and standing in front of the TV and using, you know, motion to interact with the TV, I think that's great. I think, you know, even something as simple and as rudimentary as the glance function, you walk in the room, the TV comes to life. You know, Fraser and I had this sidebar. Fraser and I had this hate for the fact that in the center of your home, you point everything at a piece of black glass for most of the day. And that seems crazy because it's in the middle of your room, and there's so many things you could put up there. You can put art up there, you can put up poster art up there, you can put the news up there, you can put your photos up there. We just thought it's a huge amount of dead space that could be enhanced, and making it a platform that's able to do all that without you having to touch it, you know, without you having to, which is why it's called glance. Those sorts of enhancements, we think, just make it a much more beautiful and more attractive product long term. Nobody's kind of doing it that way. And so we think as a platform, it just gives us new opportunities to, you know, engage with the consumer in one of the most important rooms, the most important room of their household over time.
Yeah.
So I mean, are you essentially seeking to change the way, the relationship that customers have with their television?
I think, like, it sounds weird, but I think we're asking customers to demand more. They should expect more. I think then we're ready to provide that. I think that the sort of our mission and the team is to create an experience that's at the heart of the home. And I think as a company for a long time we've talked about entertainment, right? But we maybe haven't done entertainment as much as we could, because TV shows, movies, sports, that is absolutely a huge part of entertainment. But so is music, so is gaming, you know, so is now fitness in the home. So like really sort of having a platform and a system and an experience in place that allows us to extend to those new things that people want to do is really the core of the experience. And I think the other part of it is we don't know. We don't know really like what could come next. And I think what we've created allows us to step into that a little bit, even if it is unknown. So I think like whether it's the experiences that Stephen talked about with interacting with glass, or whether it's just watching movies or playing games or listening to music, if we can give customers the ability to do all that with one cable and one remote, that feels like the right thing, I think, and the feedback and the engagement we see so far suggests that's true too. So just have to keep on cracking.
Keep on keeping on. Stephen, just one more quick question to you. How do you assess the achievement of Sky Glass and its contribution to the television industry?
Well, look, I would look at it through two lenses right now. So the first is, you know, the obvious lens is to how's it performing, and I think Brian Roberts in our last quarterly update said it was the third biggest selling brand in the United Kingdom today, right? So that's 9 months after we've launched. We're up with Samsung and LG in a very short amount of time. Yeah, I'm pretty proud of that. You know, we see it in the stats from our customers and usage and in the feedback they give us. So I'm really proud of the start. I'm also even more proud of what it's done to us as an organization, right? as an organization, it's bonded the product team, the technology team, the commercial team, the marketing team, even more closely together at a really critical time. You know, this was in the middle of COVID, where we were very fragmented and fractured as an organization, and it's pulled us together. It's given the organization, I think, a huge shot of adrenaline. I mean, coming out of COVID straight into launching a revolutionary product that we can all be proud of, and we can say, as an organization, again, you know, we lead in many ways, you know, how the whole media sector evolves and changes, you know, and it's an incredible thing to be able to do. So externally and internally, I think it's made a huge difference to us as a company, as a brand, how we think, how we act, you know, our confidence in what we can do next.
Well, that just about wraps up this session. Thank you both.